She sat me by the kitchen. That's where I watched my son get married, through a swinging door, peering over a metal cart piled with used trays. I smiled. I nodded. I even clapped when they called for toasts, though my hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the glass of champagne I paid for. Every flower, every chair, every violinist's fee had come out of my pocket. And yet here I was, hidden in plain sight. The scent of marinara and roasting garlic clung to the air, humid and heavy against the back of my neck. Beyond the narrow opening, white linen tables glowed under fairy lights. Velvet-draped chairs gleamed like jewels. My dress, once pristine and tailored to match their emerald and ivory color scheme, felt wrong, even though I'd insisted it was perfect. Daniel didn't notice how my heels clicked on the tiled floor or how my throat tightened each time laughter, or his laughter, spilled out into the corridor. I pressed my back against the cold wall, heart hammering. They had no idea I was here, no reserved seat, no mention in the printed program, no discreet whisper from the coordinator to guide me through the celebration. I was invisible, a mother erased by her own son's big day. For a moment, humiliation surged through me. But then I straightened my shoulders, smoothed my hair, and rehearsed the calm tone I would use when I picked up my phone. Because being forgotten didn't mean I was powerless. Not tonight. Not ever. I slip carefully through the swinging kitchen door, my stilettos clicking against the tiled floor so quietly that I almost lose my balance in the sudden hush. Beyond me, the corridor narrows to just wide enough for a single server's tray to pass. Steam drifts from the ovens on my right, mingling with the faint fragrance of rosemary and olive oil. The hum of conversation and the distant clinking of crystal glasses leak through the crack in the door. I pause, heart pounding, and allow my eyes to adjust. The reception tent sprawls before me like a jewel box dream. Rows of mahogany tables stretch toward a raised dais draped in ivory satin. Centerpieces of white peonies and jade-green hydrangeas sit atop mirrored pedestals, reflecting dozens of flickering votive candles. Overhead, hundreds of twinkling lights ripple across the tent ceiling like stars caught in silk. The gold-etched cutlery gleams. Silver platters heaped with smoked salmon, prosciutto-wrapped melon, and delicate shrimp cocktails parade past on gilded carts, each morsel arranged with the precision of fine art. I take a breath and smooth the skirt of my gown. Emerald silk, clinging at the waist, falling in gentle folds to the floor. It was the perfect choice, my voice insists, matching Daniel's emerald and ivory vision for the day. But now, even these sumptuous folds feel like prison drapes. My chest tightens as I realize that every stitch, every inch of fabric cost me hundreds of dollars, and the pride I once felt has drained away. At the edge of the tent, servers in crisp white jackets hover beneath a canopy of fairy lights, offering champagne flutes to laughter-filled clusters. College friends of my son, gleaming bridesmaids in soft champagne-colored dresses, groomsmen exchanging congratulatory pats on the back. They're all oblivious to me, an intruder in the wings of the greatest moment of my life, my son's wedding. And yet I'm the one who financed the violinist whose bow draws bowstrings of pure sorrow whenever it strikes a minor chord. I walk slowly along the tent's perimeter, careful not to draw attention. My fingertips brush the table linens, cool, tightly pressed cotton that smells faintly of lavender from the dry cleaner. The dais is draped in ivory. At its center, Daniel and Emily stand beneath a cascade of wisteria and ivy. She's radiant, her satin gown cinched at the waist with a pearl-encrusted belt, her hair pulled into a loose, romantic updo. He looks every bit the ecstatic groom. Crisp tuxedo, boutonniere of ivory rose pinned just so. Between us and them, dozens of guests raise their glasses for yet another toast. Their laughter ripples across the space like champagne bubbles. And I imagine the warmth they feel, the glow of family, the promise of new beginnings. For a moment I almost taste it, almost feel it, almost belong. But then a waiter wheels past, a cart loaded with dirty dishes scraping against the tent floor. The squeal of its wheel cuts through my reverie, dragging attention back to where I stand. Out of sight, out of mind, trapped outside the circle. My back brushes against the tent's wall, and I glance down to see the worn folding chair I've been assigned, a scuffed metal frame, a plastic seat warped by heat. It's been draped in a lacy white napkin, as if to pretend it belongs. The gesture only deepens the insult. I close my eyes and see a montage of everything I sacrificed, the emergency loan to cover the florists when Emily's original choice fell through, the extra hours I worked selling my handmade jewelry at weekend markets so I could afford the open bar. The rehearsal dinner venue deposit I swallowed when the first location canceled at the last minute. All of it, so my son could have the perfect day. And yet no place at the table, no acknowledgement in the printed program that bears Emily's name on the front, Daniel's name on the back, no mention of Margaret at all. My chest tightens. I want to step forward, to clear my throat so they notice me, to point at the tiny puddle of melted wax on the corner of the stage and demand, "That was me who paid for this." But I stand frozen, unwilling to shatter the illusion. Not yet. Instead, I let my gaze drift upward, past the floral garlands, past the crystal chandeliers, to the sky beyond the tent's peaked roof. Dark clouds gather at the horizon, late afternoon storms, glowing with distant thunder. I press my palm to the canvas above, feeling the faint tremor of wind. The tension in the air parallels my own, the calm before the storm. I fold my hands in my lap, smoothing the fine lace at my wrists. The emerald silk feels damp beneath my palms. My pulse echoes through the smooth fabric. I remind myself that this isn't about anger or revenge. It's about respect, about claiming the dignity that was stripped away. I inhale slowly, tasting the sweet notes of vanilla in the air, perhaps from the cake table, or the scented candles placed near the entrance. And in that moment of stillness, I recognize the power I hold, the final dance, the last slice of cake, the fee for the band, the balance owed to the caterer. Every penny that slipped through my fingers is a lever I can pull. My breathing steadies, my spine straightens. I press my shoulder against the tent support post and rise, the worn folding chair scraping as I stand. The servers and guests remain oblivious, their chatter and laughter a soft roar beyond the canvas. I step back through the swinging door, returning to the corridor's cool shadows. The laughter and music recede, replaced by the hiss of steam and the distant clang of pots. I lean against the wall, heart calm now. The stage is set, the lights are on, and soon I will remind them all exactly who made this wedding possible. I push the door open again, this time determined to step into the light. But as I slip back toward the tent, I spot it immediately. A large easel by the entrance, displaying today's seating chart in flowing gold script. I lean in, heart thudding, and scan the list. Table 1, bride's family. Table 2, groom's family. Table 3, close friends. I trace my finger down the names of aunts and uncles, godparents, childhood friends of Daniel's. My name is nowhere to be found. It feels like a punch to the gut, proof that I'm invisible, not just in gesture, but in ink. I swallow, taste salt on my lips. A server glides past, offering canapé skewers, and I follow her, hoping I might glimpse a table number scribbled in a corner. But no number, no seat, no recognition. The chart might as well have been printed in invisible ink. The irony stings. The mother who covered every cost, who coaxed vendors through crises at the 11th hour, who ensured every detail was flawless, reduced to a name that simply doesn't exist. I draw back, feeling the tremor of humiliation deepen. My eyes burn as I remember each sacrifice, the rushed phone call to secure the tuxedo rental when Daniel's original measurement proved off by 3 sizes, the emergency payment for the calligrapher's second draft when Emily decided she wanted her name in copperplate instead of Spencerian. All of it, so that the day would sparkle, and yet I'm left standing in the wings, anonymity draped around my shoulders like a shawl of shame. Clutching the chart, I retreat to the corridor again. Steam hisses from the ovens, pots clang in the distance. I close my eyes and picture the printed program in my purse, the program I essentially paid for. Inside, on the front cover, Emily and Daniel is embossed in gold foil. I flip to the inside pages in my mind. Ceremony order, readings, music selections. There should be a special thanks section, something to acknowledge parents. But the program I glimpsed earlier was concise. Thank yous to family and friends, no names attached. Emily's name appears twice, Daniel's even more. Margaret? Absent. I pinch the bridge of my nose, willing back tears. Instead, I steel myself. There's one more test, a photographer's station near the cake table, a flat screen looping a slideshow of family photos. I step into the tent, weaving through clusters of guests. The light is warm, the music swells with a violin solo, and laughter bubbles around me. I force my shoulders back, lift my chin, as if I belong here. I approach the screen, expecting to see a picture of Daniel and me, perhaps at my daughter's graduation or the day I held him when he first learned to walk. But the slideshow skips over me, too. There's a photo of Emily with her bridesmaids, a throwback from her childhood, Daniel with his college buddies, a moment at his bachelor party, then the cake-cutting ceremony, followed by shots of guests dancing. Not one image of mother and son, just a gap where my face should have been. I step back, gasping for breath. The hurt flares in my chest like a torch, igniting memories of every time I was thanked with a quick nod or ignored altogether, my voice muffled by the swell of someone else's celebration. I turn on my heel, nearly tripping over my gown's hem in my haste. A server glances up. "Are you looking for something, ma'am?" she asks, voice polite but distant. I force a smile. "Yes," I say, my voice thready. I thought there was a family photo booth." She glances behind me. "Oh, that's outside, near the garden pavilion, but it's only for Emily's side." She drops the words lightly, as if revealing a mundane fact. Emily's side. Of course. My hands curl into fists at my sides. I want to scream, demand why my invitation was so hollow, why my name was scrubbed away. Instead, I take a measured breath. The first tremor of anger transforms into resolve. If they want me to be unseen, I will make myself impossible to ignore. I step back into the corridor once more. The scent of sauce and simmering broth greets me like a welcome embrace. I rest my palm on the cool tile, letting the reality settle. They have drawn their lines. Now it's my turn to redraw them. A slow, fierce smile spreads across my face as I imagine how tonight's silence will echo into tomorrow's consequences. I return to the tent one last time, aware now of every slight detail. The way the sushi platter is labeled family style, yet placed beyond my reach. The laughing cluster of co-workers who sip Merlot, unaware I financed that vintage. The uncle who asks the MC for free drinks, never knowing I'm paying his tab. Each oversight, each invisible boundary fuels the fire inside me. I stand near the back, close enough to catch Daniel's eye, but he's too engrossed in Emily's smile to notice. I feel the familiar ache of heartbreak, but it no longer paralyzes me. Instead, it sharpens my focus. I will not weep. I will not beg. I will wait for the perfect moment to remind them all who Margaret truly is. As the string quartet transitions into a lilting waltz, I slip a hand into my purse and lift my phone. My finger hovers over the contacts list. The names flash: florist, paid in full, band leader, balance due, caterer, final invoice. In a few calculated taps, the first domino is set to fall. My pulse quickens with anticipation. The ache in my chest steadies into a pulse of power. Tonight, they will see me, and tomorrow, they will remember me. I tuck my phone back into my purse, turn my attention to the orchestra, and smile, this time without trembling. The conflict has been laid bare. Now comes the reckoning. I slip back into the tent just as the string quartet swells into a triumphant crescendo. The golden lights shimmer against the draped fabric, and for a heartbeat, I almost lose my nerve. Then I spot him, Daniel, laughing as he raises his glass toward Emily, his arm around her waist. Her smile glows under the canopy of wisteria. My chest tightens. This is the moment. I step forward, weaving through clusters of chatting guests, my emerald gown whispering against the grass at the tent's edge. In my purse, my phone vibrates with steady resolve. The first contact seems too easy, the band leader, whose broad shoulders I recall after months of negotiating the contract. He answered my call last week without complaint when I requested a special song for the mother-son dance. Now my voice is calm as I say, "Michael, this is Margaret Sullivan. I'm calling about the final payment." A polite pause. "I'm afraid I've decided to withhold it indefinitely." I don't wait for his protests. I hang up. The quartet falters mid-phrase. A hush ripples through the tent. I feel the shift like a breeze through the canopy. I watch as the groom's friend frowns, the violins sputter, and an usher darts toward the stage to whisper in the violinist's ear. I smile faintly, enough that my lips curve, but my eyes remain cool. I move closer to the hors d'oeuvres table, where silver trays of canapés ring the edge of the buffet. My second call is to the caterer. The number is familiar from every frantic conversation we'd shared over menu changes and last-minute guest count shifts. "Jamie," I say softly, "this is Margaret Sullivan. I've decided to cancel the remaining appetizers and dessert." Jamie's voice stumbles, disbelief evident in his tone. "Ma'am, we're already on site." My reply is precise. "I understand. Please collect your staff and pack up. I'll cover your travel expenses." I hang up before he can argue. A low murmur spreads across the crowd. I hear the server drop a tray. Wine spills across white linens in slow-motion arcs. Someone gasps. The temperature seems to dip. Candles flicker. I stand perfectly still, watching as anxious servers cluster around the catering manager, voices tight with panic. My final move, the florist. I approach the long table of centerpieces, each arrangement more elaborate than the last, stolen glances of peonies and hydrangeas as I walk. I dial the florist's number. Her cheerful greeting greets me, until I tell her to retrieve every vase and garland immediately. "But, Mrs. Sullivan, we're halfway through the day." I cut her off with the same quiet authority I felt when I first said yes to funding this wedding. "I'm sorry. Please return as soon as possible and pack everything. I'll settle the invoice once I'm certain nothing has been damaged." I end the call. My heart races, adrenaline surging. I lean casually against the table and allow myself a small, triumphant nod. Around me, the tent erupts. Violin strings pluck out of tune, trays of shrimp are whisked away, and the scent of wilted petals drifts through the warm air. Guests murmur in confusion. Daniel's laughter dies. He turns, searching the crowd, then sees me. His face goes white. Emily's smile falters. Their eyes lock on me, a statue at the fringe of the chaos I've just unleashed. The bandleader retreats, instruments slung over his shoulder. Jamie herds servers back toward the kitchen. A bristling florist carries her clippers and buckets of water out into the dusk. The music has stopped entirely, and an awkward silence settles so heavily it feels like thunder. All at once, the betrayal I endured, the unspoken banishment, the invisible seat, flashes through my mind. And in that silence, I reclaim my voice. I step fully into the tent. Guests part like curtains, staring at the woman who disrupted the perfect celebration. Daniel's jaw clenches. Emily's cheeks flush. I raise my chin, meet their eyes head on. No words escape me. I don't need to shout. The emptiness around me speaks for itself. The thrumming tension buzzes in everyone's ears. I spare them a single nod, an acknowledgement that I have settled the score. Then I turn and walk away, letting the rustle of my gown echo through the tent like a curtain closing on their astonished faces. Outside, the sky swirls with gathering clouds. The first fat raindrop splashes on my palm. I lift my face to the sky like a benediction. Tonight, the storm is theirs. But tomorrow, I will step into the sunlight, free of their oversight, and they will know, without question, who Margaret truly is. The tent falls into stunned silence as I reach the doorway. Glasses shatter, a low tinkle like breaking promises, when a tray slips from a server's trembling hands. Conversations die mid-sentence. The violinist lifts his bow, confused. I pause on the threshold and let my gaze drift over the chaos I've sown. Daniel stands rigid behind the lectern, eyes wide, mouth halfway open as if he's forgotten how to speak. Emily's cheeks are streaked with tears, humiliation and panic warring in her expression. Their perfect day has unraveled in a single decisive moment. Vendors clutch their invoices. Servers exchange frantic glances, unsure where to go or what to do. The florist hauls away her half-assembled centerpieces, petals wilting as they escape their vases. I feel no regret, only a fierce calm. I made my voice heard. I made my absence impossible. A hush settles like dust before a storm. Then, slowly, someone clears her throat. A bridesmaid's tentative murmur. Footsteps echo as guests begin to stir, clustering in small knots of whispered questions. What happened? Where did she go? Who is she? I step into the night air, the last whisper of candlelight brushing across my back. Rain begins to patter against the tense canvas, as if the sky itself mourns the broken illusion. I lift my chin and breathe in the cool, damp air. I taste freedom. The next morning, the sun rises on a new chapter. I host a small gathering at my home. No grand tent, no catered hors d'oeuvres, no staged perfection. Old friends arrive with coffees in hand and genuine smiles on their faces. They circle my living room, not to admire tablescapes but to laugh with me, to ask how I'm doing, to mourn together the insults of yesterday. Daniel isn't invited. Emily doesn't call. In the warmth of my own kitchen, I reclaim every stitch of dignity they erased. We share breakfast pastries I baked myself, light and flaky as second chances. We tell stories that don't hinge on appearances or who paid for what. We toast to authenticity. I realize in this quiet aftermath that I am no longer the invisible mother. I am Margaret, writer of my own story, architect of my own joy. Their decisions can no longer define me. Their blind spots can no longer contain me. I carry these lessons forward. When you know your worth, you refuse to accept crumbs of recognition. When your labor is unseen, you shine brighter in spaces that honor you. When ties grow toxic, you have the power to let go and flourish. I look out over the garden where my friends now gather, and I feel a lightness I haven't known in years. The hum of genuine conversation replaces the hollow applause of yesterday. I realize that refusing to stay invisible opened the door to a life where I am seen and cherished for exactly who I am. If you've ever been pushed to the margins, if you've ever felt your sacrifices dismissed, know this: you hold all the cards. Speak up, set boundaries, reclaim your space. And remember, you are never truly invisible when you stand in your own power. Subscribe if this resonates with you, and share your story in the comments below. We rise together.